going on, guys? It's your boy Broski here with a special video for you guys. I'm going to show you how to become overpowered very early. So we're going to start with the Prophet class, as that's going to give us the highest faith starting stat. And we are going to be rocking faith for this build. So basically, you're just going to go to the tutorial, die to this guy, and then boom, we're going to be at the first step. So we're going to talk to that NPC later in the video, but for now we're just going to hit Church of Elia if you go straight north, and then we're going to hit this smithing stone 1 to get that level 1 upgrade, and from here we're just going to go straight east until you see Gatefront. And this is important because this is how we get the horse so that we can breeze through the game, because she's going to summon at that point and give you the horse, and then we're going to go straight up the Gatefront. You're just going to run past everything. The beauty of what I'm showing you in this video is you can hit soul level 150 and get the best rune farming method in the entire game with only killing 3 bosses. You heard that right, 3 bosses. So right now we're going to go ahead and get the spirit jellyfish from this lady at Stormveil Shack, and we're going to keep heading up the road, all the way up the road to Margit the Fellowman, where we're going to encounter our first boss in the run. If you run straight down the center of this path, you're going to see that ballista come out, and those guys with the pikes will knock you off your horse. So just stay to the left or right and you'll be fine, and just run past everything. And from here, you're going to see a bonfire to your left. Go ahead and light that shit, 420 praise it, and we're going to go ahead and fight Margit. Mind you, we're still level 1 at this point, but because we chose the Prophet starting class, he's going to melt like a stick of hot butter with our basic catch flame skill. And the catch flame also does poise damage. So you'll see later in this fight, I actually do get a stagger off on him right here, all because I spammed catch flame. So just smash that bumper down, baby. And it's as simple as that. We got our first talisman pouch, so we can now equip 2. And we're going to continue onward.
Very well, let my hand.
So when she brings you to the round table hold, that's why we killed Margit first, so we have access to this. You're going to go ahead and get some level ups. But before we leave here, we're going to grab something critical for our build. You're going to jump off this balcony, and there will be an invader at the end of that hall. But if you just keep running and go this path I take you, you're going to get the item well before the invader runs you down. So just grab this, and this is the Cipher Pata, or Pata, whatever. And it scales entirely with faith, but we do need 30 faith stats in order to wield it, which is why we're going to pump all of our early game levels into faith. And this weapon is really good in the early and mid game, and it has a bigger brother called the Coated Sword that you get access to in the mid game that also scales entirely with faith. What makes these weapons so good, not just with the high scaling, because it's A scaling for the Cipher Pata and S scaling for the Coated Sword, is the fact that they do pure faith damage. So it's pure elemental damage, and that is really good against enemies with high physical resistances. Even the enemies that are resistant to holy damage are still going to take decent damage just simply because it's elemental, not physical. So you're going to keep going up here and then get murdered by the bird, but if you just hit the bonfire first, it don't really matter. And then from here, you're going to run into a guy who's a pussy. He's got a horn that he's going to blow to call his friends, but we have pumped all our points into catch flame, and by that I mean faith, and so we're going to mow them down pretty easy. 2 taps and they're gone. Sweet, sweet heals. Alright, murder the peasants, and then this little item I'm going to show you is actually optional for something we need later. What makes it special is the bleed stat, but it does require some point investment into dexterity because we chose a class that starts with low dex. So you can use this item or another item I'm going to show you later in the video. But as you can see, this weapon doesn't do anything right now because I don't have the stats necessary to wield it. But bleed damage builds up per hit, and once the bleed bar on an enemy fills up, it takes 20% of their max health, which means it's scalable. So really tanky high health pool enemies like bosses, for example, especially a new game plus, will still melt pretty quickly to a bleed build. But we're not building a bleed build, we just need this for something you'll see later on. So Sparta kick this guy, open this door, get ambushed, and skip the cutscene because it's bullshit anyway. And you can fight this guy if you would like to, but it doesn't really matter. If you die here, you have the rusty key, so you'll just go down a floor from where we were, open that door, climb the ladder, and head onward. So we're going to go up these stairs all the way. Ignore that knight unless you're just really feeling like fighting. And you're going to go up the stairs, take the right through this doorway. You'll see a bonfire. And as always, we're going to keep on keeping on. And here you'll see a bunch of suicide birds. But you can run past these, because if there's one thing that Elden Ring has taught me, is that enemies are optional. Bosses are not. Well, except the 90-something bosses that are, or more than that. But I digress. So do some hardcore parkour. And you'll descend into the church. Behind me is actually the first time you'll see Roger in person, and he sells a couple weapon arts, but we're just going to keep going on. I don't know why I chose to fight these guys, but you really don't have to. You can just panic roll a couple times past them, and then keep sprinting. And the one thing you'll notice in Souls games is that aside from a select few enemies, like the dogs and the pinwheel things or whatever, most enemies are the same speed as you are. So you can actually run, like literally just run past everything, because they're not going to catch up. Alright, so we're going to take this left and grab the Mimic's Veil. This can be used to turn you into a prop surround the environment that you're in. So if you're, invaded by somebody and you want to hide, you don't want to fight, you can always hide maybe in a room like this as a prop. And it also makes you invisible to the enemies too. So you could actually hide in this room if you wanted to with the Scion not attacking you if you're in prop form. So we're going to hit this shortcut that takes us back to the bonfire we just had. And then we're going to go back down the elevator. And then you're going to want to head straight towards the painting. You can pick up this Highland axe if you want another weapon. But we're just going to go through this door. And then we're going to go out into the crapstorm, because there are a bunch of enemies here with flamethrowers and bows. Which is why we're not going to bother looting. We're just going to keep on running. We're going to go up these stairs and take a left, because in there's another bonfire that we can hit. And then once we do that, we're going to do a 180 and just go up this set of stairs instead. If you continue straight, you'll come across a golden seed actually to my right, you can see in that clip. But if you go straight up this path, there's a giant. And if you go all the way up these stairs, that'll be the bonfire right before our next boss fight, Godrick the Grafted. Alright, and then we're gonna beat Godrick grafted on the first try, level 5, let's get it! You ain't crap. You ain't nothing to me, boy. Now let's just wait a second. You didn't think this video was almost 30 minutes long because we were going to breeze through Godrick. No, I'm going to show you an easier way to beat Godrick by making you overpowered for the fight. So first you're going to go back to Gatefront, but instead of heading north, you're going to head south for a long time. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. We're going way far south. But it is a straight shot, so you can just go straight down this road and you'll be fine. There is a boss on this bridge, but we're going to take a slight detour to the right because on this chair is a smithing stone, somber smithing stone, level 1. Now we want the somber smithing stones versus the regular because the Cypher Pita does require the sombers rather than the other. And so that's what we're trying to get some upgrades for to make it a little bit easier to fight Godrick. As always, enemies are optional. You can just run past these guys and keep heading down the road. And we are shortly approaching our next bonfire, but we have to go across the Bridge of Sacrifice. And man, oh man, is this rather underwhelming if you just run past it, to be honest. And so you're going to take a right as soon as you pass that, and boom, we have our next bonfire. So from here, just head straight down, and you're going to see that little vehicle, whatever the hell that is on the left. If you go over to the entrance of it, we're going to pick up the Morning Star. Now, remember how I told you about the hook claws? This is an alternative that only requires 1 point of strength investment if you're running the Prophet starting class to wield. So from there, we're going to descend the lake face like you saw here. And this is a little bit further north. This is before where we came from. And we're trying to go to these ruins in the lake. But be careful, because if you go to where all the people corralled are to the right, a dragon will come down and mess you up. As always, enemies are optional. Just run past these hoes. And then, even these rats, man. Like, I'm like level 5, I think, at this point. And they do nothing in terms of damage. Okay, next, get bamboozled. And we are in Celia Crystal Tunnel. Now this warps us to a later game area called Caelid, but the reason that we're here is because we want some more somber smithing stones, as well as this talisman called the Faith Canvas Talisman, and that gives us a sizable damage increase to our incantations. And since we're running a Faith build, that's going to be really useful in fighting Godrick, because we will be getting the Lightning Spear, and that will boost the damage of the Lightning Spear. So you have a ranged option if you're having trouble in the melee fight with Godrick. So climb this ladder again after you hit that bonfire, because that's the entrance of this cave. And if you actually leave the entrance of that cave, you have the shortcut that'll to Caelid. You know, that's where it warped us. So if you want to explore that area of the map, that's the fastest way to get there. From here, we're going to do some hardcore parkour. And I honestly couldn't tell you what this loot item is, because every playthrough that happens. I just fall. It's obnoxious, but it is what it is. So we're going to keep on going up the ladder. But instead of taking a right, we're taking this left. Because Somber Smith and Stone 4, baby. Now keep on going. And there's some more somber or regular smithing stone 5s if you want those. This is optional. I am just an internal completionist, so this isn't relevant to what we're doing. But if you like magic, that's a decent. That's what that skill is. He just used it on me. So climb the ladder and then kick that one, and that'll give you a shortcut. Grab another somber stone. And then here's where the magic happens. We're going to go up here, run past these guys, and grab this talisman. This is the talisman I told you was going to boost your faith damage. That door that you just saw is actually the boss door, but we don't need to fight him. We got the upgrades we needed. We're headed back to Stormveil Shack, and then we're going to take this path rather than going up the road. And then you're going to see this bridge, but you can actually descend this bridge. And you're going to go all the way, wrap around this mountain, and this is actually wrapping us around the castle where we were just clearing to get to Godrick. And this is an alternative path to Liurnia of the Lakes, because the normal path requires you to defeat Godrick, and then it'll take you to the Liurnia of the Lakes bonfire. But if you take this path, it takes you to the exact same bonfire right here. So first we're going to pick up a sacred tier at this church, which is going to make it so that our Estus flasks and Crimson, and like our mana flasks and our health flasks, both do more. It increases the amount replenished. But basically, you're gonna go north at this point, down this road, and you'll see a bonfire behind these rocks. And yes, we will be referencing Dark Souls terminology, not Elden Ring terminology. So I will be saying bonfire and souls. It just is what it is. I guess I'm an old man or something. Alright, so once you hit this bonfire, you're actually going to want to go down and to the left a little bit, and you're going to see these ruins. Roll over that, and it's and inside of here is the Two Fingers Heirloom, which gives us a 5-level buff to our faith, which will make it so that we should be able to wield the Cipher Peta if we pumped all of our levels so far into faith and then utilize this talisman. So you're just going to keep going down the road until you hit this bonfire. We will come back to that later when we're trying to do the quest line that we need to do to access the endgame rune farm area. But in order to do that, we do have to beat Godrick the Grafted first, and that's what this setup's all about. So you're going to hit this Artist Shack bonfire again, continuing north that whole way, and then we're going to go back to fight this guy. Because we chose Faith, you should be able to purchase Flame Sling at the round table from the guy with the blindfold, and you should be able to hit him from range. It's not that difficult to cheese this guy. If you want to fight him legit like I do, just because at this point we're doing decent damage with our Cipher Peta, and I don't even think it's upgraded at this point in the video, so this just goes to show like how effective this is even at a low level, if you know, with the right stat investment. So once you kill him, he's going to drop the Dragon Cult Prayer Book, and this is going to be useful for what we're trying to do because it'll give us access to the Lightning Spear, as well as Honed Bolt and a couple other faith spells. But for the most part, we just want Lightning Spear and or Honed Bolt because that'll give us some range, whereas, you know, the Cipher Peta is a fist weapon, so you got to be up real close for this one. So just, you're going to, once you go down here, you'll see Carrion Manor, but around these rocks is going to be a Somber Smithing Stone 3. So at this point we have a Somber Smithing Stone 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to go back to Stormveil Shack, and this time go straight east until you get to that bridge with the pumpkin head. You can talk to D if you want to start this quest line, but we're going to keep on keeping on. And there is a boss right after this bonfire that's relatively easy, like really squishy. So if you wanted to fight him, you can, but it's not necessary. So you'll see this church to the left. Inside of here is going to be another bonfire for us, and we will actually get invaded here. You can kill the invader if you wish. If not, just walk out of the church to the left and keep running up to this wall. And you'll see in a moment that now that we're past the wall and we hit this bonfire, the invader's gone. So you don't actually have to fight them. So you're going to keep forward, and right around there, be careful not to fall down, because I did when recording this the first time, make sure you stick that double jump. And then you're going to follow the path that I'm showing you if you would like to avoid the dragons a little bit more. But honestly, even if you run straight under them on your horse, you're so fast that they don't really react in time. So we're going to come up to this fort, and this is actually necessary to access the Grand Lift. There's two pieces you need, the Dectus Medallion left and right, and one of the pieces is in here. So we're going to run past all these bats, and then we're going to climb this ladder. And at the top of the ladder in the chest is the Dectus Medallion. But that's not why we came here. We came here for two reasons. One reason is what I'm about to show you, is don't jump down that hole, but jump down this next hole. And then there is an item here, a gold rune 12, which is useful. But we want to jump right here. Be careful, there is a giant rat here, but we're just going to run past them. And down here is what we came for, the Radagon Sword Seal. Now this will boost you 5 points in stamina, health, strength, and dex at the cost of taking more damage. And the reason you would want this is if you skip points in dex and or strength, you can still wield the mace and or the hook claws to kill this giant dragon at the same bonfire we were just at. And the reason we want bleed weapons is because he has an insane health pool. So as you saw in that clip, I did 13,000 damage when the bleed proc. And now, level up, get all your smithing stones, and get ready to fight Godrick. Because you should have the spells you need for range, and the upgrades and the level ups you need to survive. The Cypher Pado's weapon art is actually really good at staggering, and it's definitely useful in boss fights like this. Then we're going to finish off Godrick with that wham bam thank you ma'am, and we're going to make our way back to the first step, because this is where we start the actual quest line. So we're going to talk to the guy at the first step, and he's going to tell us to talk to the lady at the round table. From there you're going to want to go back to him, and you'll see a sign on the ground where he tells you to meet him at the Rose Church. From here we're going to want to go to Liurnia the Lakes. And if you go to that bonfire, if you pause the video and see where I'm talking about on the map, you're just going to go straight west at the Rose Hill Church, and then you'll see him here. And don't go inside the church unless you want to get messed up. He's going to tell you to invade 3 people, and he's going to give you 5 bloody fingers to do it, so you got a couple extra if you want to invade more people. And you don't have to win or lose these fights, but once you do that, he'll give you that Lord of Blood's favor, and then we can do the second part of his quest, which requires us to get to the 4 belfries. So from the Rose Hill Church, we're going to just keep going to the far west and hugging the mountain face. And you can actually see the belfries in this clip at the top right. That's where we're headed. So you're going to want to go up this mountain and then stay to the right. If you stay to the left, it'll take you somewhere else. If you stay to the right of the mountain, it's going to take us to the top. And you'll know you're going the right way when you see that giant. And you're just going to run past all of these to the very, very top. And behind the top one is a site of grace. You're going to want to go to the top one that we're at, grab the imbued sword key, and then you're going to make your way down to the second one here. Use the stone key on the gargoyle statue here, and then enter the teleporter. This takes us back to the spawn, to the first boss, and at this point we are more than well equipped to fight the grafted scion. See how much damage we do with just one weapon art? And honestly, if you're having trouble with his spammy attack nature, just hit him at a distance with your lightning spear. Ain't no shame in my game. Hell no. And it's as simple as that, boys. So once defeating this boss, he's going to give you a decent great shield and the sword. But we're going to go up the stairs. And you can go straight into the church to grab the quest item, but we're actually going to go to the right because there's two other items you can grab here. One is a spirit ash called Stormhawk Dean, which is actually relatively decent. But you can also grab that Stormhawk King, which is a sword with a special weapon art if you would like to check that out. But what we really came here for is the quest. So you grab that off the maiden in the church, you hand it back to him, and allow him to anoint you. And by anoint you, I mean cut your finger off, because that's exactly what he's going to do in the worst animation in Elden Ring. Look at this.
Oh, good heavens. Clench your teeth or something.
Look at this. My finger's still there. It's all in your head, bro. So anyway, talk to him again and he'll give you the Pure Blood Knight's medal, and that bloody finger can be used to infinitely invade people. When you use this medal, it'll take you to Mogwin Palace. This is the only way to get to Mogwin Palace as far as I know. And then you're gonna hit the bonfire. If you go upward, you'll actually go fight Mogwin if you go down that path, but we're not here for that yet. You're gonna go down the stairs, and then you're gonna keep running, because there are some really beefy things trying to kill you here. But what I just said is the Swarm of Flies spell, and that actually is really useful in PvP. But you go all the way to the top of this mountain, hit the bonfire, pull out a trusty dusty bow. It doesn't matter if you could do a lot of damage with it, and here's why. Now, as you can see, we're going to get 11,000 souls, and this is without soul increasing methods like the Gold Scarab Talisman or Gold Pickled Fowlfoot, which I do have the videos for how to stack those as well if you'd like a tutorial on that. And if you have a late game character in the Elden Sword, you can kill those enemies and get hella souls. So thank you for your time, and look forward to another video. Bye bye.